If you'd have told me 10 years ago that we'd be receiving a Star Wars themed Destiny expansion, I wouldn't have believed you. If I did believe you, I would have lost sleep over it. I would be thinking about it all the time. I would have been beside myself. Overjoyed, if you will. And yet, here we are in 2025 with Destiny 2 Renegades, a Star Wars themed Destiny expansion, and I'm not excited at all. Now, you could chalk it up to emotional maturity, me growing as a person over the last 10 years, but I assure you, I have not. No, instead, it's because both Destiny and Star Wars are shells of what they once were 10 years ago. But, being the sucker that I am, I bought the entire year of Destiny as I always do, and so I own it. I kind of felt obligated to play it, to be honest. And play it, I have. I've played the campaign twice, I've used all the new equipment, I've done the dungeon a few times, and frankly, I've done the new activity more times than I'd care to admit. You know what? Actually, I think I've just played Destiny as a whole longer than I'd like to admit. Don't do the math. So let's just get into it. Is Destiny Renegades good? Asking if Renegades is good is kind of a loaded question. Good to whom? Destiny fans? Star Wars fans? Destiny fans who also like Star Wars? Well, at a surface level, all of the above. But in Destiny's current state, you really do have to look underneath that surface level in order to determine the quality of the actual game. Destiny always looks amazing, and always plays amazing, and it always sounds amazing, but it's all the things that are attached to that that makes or breaks any given year of Destiny. At a purely Destiny level, ignoring the Star Wars portion for now, it's better than the Edge of Fate. If we're going off number scale, Edge of Fate was like a 2 out of 10, meaning that Renegades is at least a 3. Thankfully, it's a little bit better than the 3, but the point is, yes, if you compare this expansion to the previous, it's going to be better by a lot. But in a vacuum, exclusive from comparison, Renegades is both great and terrible at the same time. For what it's worth, we will end on a positive note because the terrible portion of Renegades is, unfortunately, where it begins. Now, the campaign is a core part of any Destiny expansion. It gets you introduced to any of the new powers, the new activities, the new gear, and of course, it gets you introduced to the story. Now, this new saga of Destiny revolves around the 9. You know, like Xur. We like Xur. Star Horse. I don't know what's going on there. What else? The floaty lady with the no shoes, no service, I guess. And to be honest, this new saga just kind of just sucks. But I will explain. Here's the rundown. There's 9 entities which make up the 9. Their title is very literal. You don't ever see any of these 9. The way they communicate is through an emissary, which is just like a guy. Now, multiple of the 9 can talk through one emissary, so often you'll see one dude having a conversation with himself, but it's actually multiple entities talking to each other. Each of the 9 are named 1 through, I don't even have to say it, so 1 could talk to 2, and 2 could talk to 3, but actually 2 can't talk to 3 because 3 died in the last campaign. 6 is the major player of Renegades, and he talks through Bale, who isn't an emissary. Throws a wrench into that work. But they had to shoehorn him in because he looks and talks like Kylo Ren, and remember, Star Wars expansion. So 6 is mad at the world because, I don't really know, but he's using Bale to fire off the Death Star. It's not the Death Star, it is the Death Star, it's Star Wars, and take out all the Guardians because, well, again, I don't really know. But remember, 3 is dead, and I don't know why that's important, but they mentioned it numerous times, so it has to be important. Also, 6 is afraid of 7 because 7, 8, 9, and that's not even true, but it was totally believable because this entire story is just utter nonsense. The overall plot with the 9 is just a confusing mess, and it's written in such a pretentious manner. The recent years of Destiny has really liked to bust out the thesaurus and use the most obtuse words imaginable. Look, I'm decently well-read, I love a well-placed big word as much as the next guy, but Destiny's writing has this way of speaking down to the player. It would be one thing if I were alone in this, but speaking to my buddies, none of which who are dumb, okay, maybe one of them is dumb, they don't understand some of these words either. We looked up the definition of one of the more egregious words, anathema.
How do you spell it? Anthema or anthema? Alright, here's the official one. Something or someone that one. I gotta click on the definition of this. Alright, there we go. The definition for the definition. The definition I needed was vehemently. It says vehemently, in a forceful, passionate, or intense manner with great feeling. And this says anathema is something or someone that one vehemently dislikes.
Hate. It means hate. Can we not just say hate? Why do we have to fluff up our words so much? This is a Star Wars expansion. The Sith always use hate as, like, their thing. Why can't we say hate? Why do we have to say... What was it? Anathema. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Like, what? Who? Oh, look. The story, it sucks. It's pretentious. It's awful. It's annoying. And it's just downright stupid at times. So we have pretentious dialogue, a confusing overarching story, and characters that are just a little silly. And basically none of the characters are likable. Aura, whatever her name is, I don't like this chick at all. I don't think anybody likes her. The story and characters suck. Let's just move on. So that's the terrible part of Renegades, but I did promise a good part of Renegades, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the gameplay, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You, of course, have your basic story missions, and this time around, Bungie has done some things to mix up the gameplay without the absolute joke that was the Kepler abilities. Big air quotes there. Abilities. Instead, this time they focused on two major components, new vehicles and air support. There's some new pikes, a new Sparrow with guns, and two new mechs, and frankly, they're all super fun. Even on legendary difficulty, which wasn't difficult at all by the way, the vehicles managed to deal some good damage and actually be fun to use. The new mech specifically is a blast, and you can eventually unlock some different variations of it, which we'll talk about when we get to the main activity. There's some actual unique areas and differences between the story missions, and they're probably some of the better missions we've received in a while. Maybe ever? Maybe not the best, but still pretty good. It's broken up by a lot of talk to this person in the tower, talk to this person in the cantina, then go to orbit and talk to this person. Wait, go back to the cantina and talk to this other person. Look, I've always hated this, but it does go by relatively quickly, and it's not too annoying on your first playthrough. I feel like every game does this, and at least you can skip it here, I guess. Now, a large portion of the campaign is made up of this Lawless Frontier activity. You'll be doing it a lot. This is the major addition to the expansion, maybe outside of the dungeon, and it's honestly one of the better activities they've ever made. Now, this is the part where I would go on to explain how it works, but I can summarize it very simply by saying it's Helldivers. It's really just Helldivers. You load up one of the 6 available maps, pick some stratagems, and run around completing objectives. There's loot to extract and invaders, but not like the Gambit invaders that ruin the game. Invaders can only stick around for a few kills and don't really hinder your overall progress. I think they can maybe steal some of your extraction crates, but honestly I can't be for sure. Long story short, I have died plenty of times to invaders, but I've not noticed anything different about my loot. On top of this, there's a specific no invader version of the activity, so everybody should be happy here. The stratagems you can bring involve healing pods, airstrikes, mechs, bubble shields. I mean, seriously, there is no shortage of cool options here. They can all be upgraded so that healing pulse that just heals can now be boosted to give you full super, grenades, and melee. The ammo pod can drop more ammo and deal more damage to enemies. The mech can be upgraded to have rockets and then mortars and so on. There was clearly a lot of thought put into these extra abilities, and activating them is as easy as flipping a coin and picking one of your equipped call-ins. Enemy density demands the use of these abilities as well. It's a non-stop barrage of baddies, and on higher difficulties it can really put your build and teamwork to the test. It's seriously an awesome activity, and it feels like one that has some actual replay value to it, if you can believe it. The new dungeon is, as always, awesome. It's a little light on mechanics and difficulty, but heavy on atmosphere and killer loot. I've never been against easy dungeons or raids in Destiny, since that gives more players access to completing it, and it's no different here. But here's something interesting to think about. Did this even need to be Star Wars? None of this is actually Star Wars. You're not on Hoth, you're on Europa. It's not Tatooine, it's Mars. They're not lightsabers, they're Praxic blades. Drifter didn't get frozen in carbonite, he got frozen in stasis. Many of the scenes in the campaign are clearly recreating Star Wars, but they're not actually Star Wars. None of this feels like it required that Star Wars license. Almost all of this could have been done within the confines of the Destiny universe, save for a few one-to-one recreated scenes and some sound effects. I guess I just don't really understand the point of this expansion. My guess would be that some higher-up business level, maybe with Bungie, maybe with Sony, but it all just feels a little cheap. Once that initial excitement of combining Destiny and Star Wars wore off, of which it does very quickly, I was left wondering why this even needed to be Star Wars themed at all. It all feels very bland, very safe. After playing Jedi Survivor recently, I was reminded of what makes Star Wars so interesting, and it's not the original movies, those just laid the groundwork. Star Wars is kept interesting through its limitless possibilities with that groundwork. Its interesting character dynamics, the lines between light and dark being blurred, but none of that happens here. It's a glorified amusement park ride of various Star Wars scenes and ideas, all loosely connected through Destiny's rotting core. It is, like its namesake, amusing, but it's far from exciting. And that's Destiny Renegades. So, to answer the question, is Renegades good? No, not really. Look, if you're like me and you've paid for the whole year of Destiny, it is worth coming back to play this. It's a lot better than what we've had. The activity is really fun. The lightsaber is really, really strong. I love the lightsaber. Praxic blade. Praxic blade, not a lightsaber. Destiny is still a really solid multiplayer game. It's still fun with friends. But, so is poking a dead body with a stick, which kind of what playing Destiny feels like these days. I'd love to be able to stand here and tell you that Destiny is back, baby, but it's just not. It's a neat little expansion that serves as a band-aid upon Destiny's gunshot wound. So there's an image for you. It's better than nothing, and it kind of looks okay on the surface, but it's not really doing much for Destiny's internal hemorrhaging right now. So, if you already own it, it's worth checking out. If you don't, I'd probably skip it and play something like Hades 2 instead, which is what I'm gonna go do now. So, goodbye!